Thank you very much. Sheena, would you like to tell us about Abyssinia?
Sure. I think it's a perfect segue from HCCI. One other thing I will add, we'll still allow, one of the things I think that's amazing about HCCI is that it's not just Christian organizations as well. There are mosques and other faith denominations, and I think that makes it a truly dynamic and fully representative institution in our community. Abyssinian Development Corporation started a little bit south of where HCCI's footprint is, and it grew out of the historic Abyssinian Baptist Church. The church is actually going to be celebrating its 200th anniversary next year, which makes it one of the oldest institutions in the country, in the state of New York, and certainly in the city of New York. And the Development Corporation was born out of really the faith principle of the church. The church was founded in 1808 by freed blacks and Ethiopian merchants who were discriminated against in the First Baptist Church of New York, which was not far from here in downtown Manhattan. Had to sit up in the rafters, wasn't allowed to take communion, etc., because of their African ancestry. So they stormed out and formed Abyssinia. Abyssinia is the ancient name of Ethiopia, so that was in honor of the Ethiopian merchants. And so from the very beginning, the church has always had a foundation of a social justice ministry, and it's carried that foundation faithfully for the 200 years that it's been in existence. One of our most famous pastors is Adam Clayton Powell Jr., who was obviously a prolific congressman, and I think enacted more social justice legislation than any congressman before or since. So the church, its concept is you do the work of the Lord outside of the walls of the church. You don't come to church on Sunday and pray for your own salvation and that's it. You're supposed to be out feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, and doing the work of God in the community. And that's what the Community Development Corporation was based on as its foundation. The same issues and challenges that Lucille aptly pointed out were impacting Harlem. And the church that had been in this neighborhood since the 20s, when the Harlem Renaissance that we all have learned about was going on, and saw that decline, and it found itself in the middle of vacancy, abandonment, and devastation. All around the church, the blocks surrounding the church were just vacant and abandoned. Some of the earliest projects that the church took on before they officially incorporated as the Community Development Corporation were, I say, to help the least of these. Our two first projects, one was a homeless shelter, which we still have. It's a 25-unit shelter for families. And the other was a 100-unit senior citizens facility for frail, low-income elderly. So it was to help folk that had the most pressing need. And from there, the church said, what are all the things that we need to create a successful, sustainable community? What are the essential elements? Affordable housing, obviously, is one. We've developed over 1,500 units of affordable housing, mostly rental for low and moderate income families, and also some home ownership opportunities. You also need educational institutions, because the community can't have longevity if our young people are not properly educated. So we have 3 educational institutions: a Head Start Center, elementary school we just started a couple of years ago, and a middle high school. The Head Start and middle high school we've been doing for about 13 years, and really want to demonstrate and prove that public education can work if the community has a large say in what we want and expect from and expect for our kids. We have award-winning educational institutions. Another element that's critically important is civic engagement. Residents have to be aware, knowledgeable, and involved in the policies that impact them. So we do a lot of work with tenant associations, block associations, and neighborhood groups. And a fourth element is economic revitalization in terms of commercial development. As Lucille said, we obviously have to have job opportunities in our communities, and we also have to have services. So Abyssinian Development Corporation built the first major commercial development that was in Harlem in a half a century, which was the Pathmark supermarket on 125th Street. And from there have worked with small local businesses and other major retailers, bringing those opportunities to Harlem. So it's really a very wide, diverse comprehensive approach to creating successful, sustainable community, and really rooted in a social justice ministry of the historic ministry of the church.